At the center of today's political storm in Israel is Benjamin Netanyahu, currently serving as Prime Minister, who has formally asked Isaac Herzog, the President of Israel, for a full pardon to end his long-running corruption trial. Netanyahu's request, filed on the 30th of November 2025, comes 5 years after the corruption cases were first opened. Prosecutors accuse him of fraud, breach of trust, and accepting bribes. The allegations stem from 3 separate cases started in 2019. What makes this pardon request so extraordinary is that, unlike typical clemency petitions worldwide, Netanyahu is seeking a pardon before any conviction or admission of guilt. That alone has sent shockwaves through Israel's political and legal system. In a short video released by his party, Netanyahu stressed that the ongoing trial significantly hampers his ability to govern, especially during a time of regional turbulence. He argued that the continuous legal proceedings deepen social and political divisions, undercutting national unity. He said, "I am required to testify 3 times a week. That is an impossible demand that is not made of any other citizen." Netanyahu's lawyers, in a 111-page submission to the president's office, contend that a pardon would allow the prime minister to devote all of his time, abilities, and energy to advancing Israel in these critical times and to dealing with the challenges and opportunities that lie before it. They also emphasize their client's continued assertion of innocence, arguing that the trial will ultimately result in a full acquittal. In the lawyer's view, the pardon is not just for him, but for the country, to heal internal divisions and restore a sense of national cohesion. By tradition and practice, pardons in Israel are typically granted only after conviction, often with the convicted individual showing remorse or admitting guilt. However, the country's basic law gives the president broad clemency powers and notably does not explicitly require that the person requesting a pardon be convicted first. Despite this, critics argue that granting a pardon to someone who maintains innocence and has not been convicted amounts to dumping justice and risks undermining the principle that no one is above the law. Legal scholars have pointed out that previous cases involving early pardons before conviction are virtually non-existent or involve special circumstances. The most commonly cited precedent dates back to the mid-1982s, involving state security agents whose pardons were conditional upon confession of guilt, something Netanyahu has explicitly refused to do. Even defenders of clemency concede such a pardon would be extraordinary. The Office of the President described Netanyahu's request as extraordinary and said it carries significant implications. At present, the request has been forwarded to the Pardons Department of the Ministry of Justice. The department will gather opinions from relevant institutions, including the prosecution, and submit them to the president's legal advisor, who will then prepare a recommendation for President Herzog. Estimates suggest this process could take several weeks. Netanyahu's pardon bid has triggered a sharp backlash from opposition leaders, civil society groups, and large segments of the public. Protesters have gathered outside President Herzog's home in Tel Aviv, chanting slogans like "Pardon equals Banana Republic." One demonstrator summed up the sentiment. He is asking that his trial will be completely cancelled without taking any responsibility, without paying the price for how he tore up this country. Opposition figures, including Yair Lapid and Yair Golan, argue that a pardon without guilt, admission, and withdrawal from politics would erode public trust and damage Israel's democratic norms. A broader concern voiced by analysts, including legal scholars like Dana Blander of the Israel Democracy Institute, is that approving the pardon could open a dangerous precedent, namely that powerful leaders might evade accountability simply by invoking clemency. According to Blander, the clemency law seems ill-suited for cases where the defendant denies wrongdoing. It's irrational to have a pardon before conviction. A pardon for what, she remarked. Some observers believe the pardon request is not just about escaping legal jeopardy, but about positioning for the upcoming elections, scheduled by October 2026. Resolving the trial before campaigning intensifies would arguably give Netanyahu a political advantage. The pardon request also comes at a fraught moment for Israel's regional security posture. Since the October 2023 militant attack triggered war with Hamas and subsequent operations in Gaza, Israel, and by extension, Netanyahu has faced heavy international criticism over civilian casualties and alleged war crimes. Indeed, in November 2024, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and the former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, accusing them of responsibility for crimes including war crimes and crimes against humanity. While Israel rejects ICC jurisdiction and the warrants have limited practical implications within Israel itself, the international pressure and the risk of travel restrictions in many countries adds another complex layer to Netanyahu's political and legal predicament. Against this backdrop, Netanyahu and his supporters argue the trial's strain and political division are detrimental at a time when Israel needs stable leadership to navigate security threats, a key piece of their argument for why a pardon would serve national interest. President Herzog rejects the pardon. Given the extraordinary nature of the request, the lack of conviction or admission of guilt, and widespread public opposition, many analysts view a rejection as likely. If that happens, the trial will proceed as scheduled, likely culminating in verdicts that could drag into 2027 or beyond. Herzog grants a conditional pardon. Some legal experts believe the only feasible path might involve conditions, a confession, public remorse, and a commitment to step away from politics. That kind of compromise could diffuse some of the public uproar while sidestepping constitutional crisis. Herzog grants a full pardon, triggering legal challenges. Were Herzog to grant a complete pardon, likely without the needed precedent, it could prompt legal challenges before the High Court of Justice. Civil society groups and political opponents have already indicated they are prepared to sue if the process undermines law equality. Public and institutional fallout accelerates. Regardless of the pardon outcome, the episode deepens polarization. Trust in judiciary and democratic institutions may erode, and societal divisions may widen risks that Netanyahu and his coalition likely weighed before filing. The pardon request by a sitting prime minister, never before seen in Israeli history, raises fundamental questions about the balance between governance, accountability, and institutional integrity. By asking for a pardon without admitting guilt, before conviction, and while motivated by political and security considerations, Netanyahu is effectively testing the boundaries of presidential clemency powers and challenging established norms. If accepted, this could set a precedent that undermines the principle that no one is above the law, a cornerstone of liberal democracy. Conversely, rejecting the request could mean a drawn-out trial, intensifying social division and prolonging legal uncertainty, potentially debilitating governance at a time of heightened security and regional volatility. Thus, the decision by President Herzog and its aftermath will not only determine the fate of one politician, it may also shape the trajectory of Israel's democratic institutions for years to come.